see a 49-state landslide, we may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide, maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote. We all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's gonna win. The Republicans are gonna sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash. Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my daddy.
The devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy. The king of death.
Victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says.
Strike and strike and smash. Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. They can't beat my daddy. This is the highest level witchcraft and manipulations. Massive warfare, massive witchcraft. A feminine spirit told me about a guy who was rah, rah, rah until the news started saying things. And all of a sudden he said, well, Trump should have humbled himself. Well, things would have been different if. Things are different only when God says they are different. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care what the media says. Care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says. Care what states say. Care what government says. I certainly don't care what doctors say, teachers say, businesses say.
We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha. We win. Ha ha.
Strike and strike and smash. Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy. Can't beat my daddy. I think Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump landslides 49 states. And we may see a 49-state landslide. Maybe a 50-state landslide. That'd be amazing. I think we might be seeing a 49-state landslide. I just really think it's more likely that Trump wins 520 electoral votes. No amount of mail-in ballots will matter. If Trump gets 537 or 36 or even 538 every single electoral vote, we all know Joe Biden will lose. Like, let's be real, man. As I've stated 1,000,001 times, Donald Trump's gonna win. The Republicans are gonna sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump. Everything I've told you will be wrong and completely meaningless. So keep that in mind.
And strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. Angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
The media said Joe Biden's president. Ha 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 ha.
Strike and strike and smash.
Take your iron rod.
God, by the lust of daddy.
Ha ha.
Can't beat my
The
daddy.
devil said what?
God, now is the time.
There is no law.
They can't beat my daddy. The king of disease. My daddy. The king of death.
Victory, victory.
Smashed it with your iron rod. Smashed it.
God, my daddy. I do not care what doctors say. I don't care what Arizona says. Care what Pennsylvania says.
Take your iron rod. Let's get it. Strike and strike and strike and strike. All right, I got it. Right, guys. This is the Pitchfork Podcast for January 12th, 2021. We haven't been even 6 days in, and we already had the MAGA D-Day, the MAGA R-Tarted D-Day. Oh, guys, press F. Press F for Buffalo Mogler. Let's go ahead and press F for QAnon Shaman. Let's go ahead and press F for Adam Johnson. Press F for every legislator and lawmaker and cop who has lost their job or who has been placed on leave because of this particular terrorist attack. Oh my God. How do you lose your good ass job trying to be a terrorist? And you fail at that. See, if you're going to lose your job, right? See, normally when people don't care about their jobs, they would normally just, they would do things that are a last resort. They don't do things with the expectations of returning back to that job. Now, I have a white nationalist in my chat over here on YouTube who said he wants to call in. All right, so this is Chance 2413. Oh, I looked at your other videos, and you are the one that those dudes thinks that you can point taser at the cop face and you shouldn't get shot. Point taser, or when you run at a cop with a knife, you shouldn't be shot like that dude in Philly. Hey, I'm a white nationalist. Do you want me to call in, and so we can have a debate about Jewish power? Call into your show. Sure, call in. But see, when you're a white nationalist and you say things like people shouldn't be shot, you understand that when you say things like that, it's going to call into question your true motivations. See, then it's less about the cop and it's more about your ideology. But I'm waiting for you to call. I'm waiting for you to call. Listen, Chance 2413. Call in. I'm waiting. The number is open. 253-203-6784. Again, I'm going to type number in the chat. 253-203-6784. But the one thing I'm not going to continue to allow is just all this chatter in the chat box or in the comment section, the live chat. Listen, I gave you a number to call in. There's no point in you spamming a bunch of white nationalist nonsense. Just call in. Right? Because it takes less time to form a sentence saying things versus typing it out, right? Because by the time that you typed out all that stuff, you could have been called in. But anyways, until you have the courage to call in, because I have a suspicion that you're going to try to call in under a troll number. And I got a surprise for you that I don't allow that on my show. You call in from an actual area code. You don't bother calling whatsoever. And you will not take over my show. It's just my show. But we will have an actual discussion, an actual debate. That's fine. But it's going to be on my terms because it's my show. If you don't like that, you can go to Parler. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. You can't go there, right? Fact. Man, you know what? I want to go to Parler real quick. I was going to go over the FBI numbers real quick. Let's go to Parler real quick. Let's see if I can. Oh no. Parler. I can't get on Parler. Why is that? Why can't I get on? Oh, man. This site can't be reached. The webpage at https parler.com might be temporarily down, or it may have moved permanently to a new address. Error address invalid. Oh my God. So I know why you're in my chat box, because you can't go to Parler. I know why you're here. So, the number's open. I'm waiting. I don't see any missing calls. In fact, I'm still waiting for your call there, sir. I'm waiting for your call there, brave white knight. Brave knight of the white people. Still waiting, sir. Still waiting. In fact, I went over to my Discord chat. There's nobody here. There's nobody here in Discord. I find that to be very, very weird. Very, very weird. You see how brave they are in the comment section, right? When they get hide behind something, right? You see how brave our brave white knights are, right? When they get hide in the comment section. But when you call them out and you tell them to come out and play, suddenly they become bitchkin, They basically become bitchified. You basically show them to be what they truly are. They can't seem to address anybody unless it's in large numbers, or it's under a trolley account where they can just troll. Where they don't have to stand behind their fucking words. Like the bitches that they are. See, I announced my real name. Dion McNeil. That's my real name. And I talk all that shit. So why is it that y'all bitch asses, on MAGA and the white nationalist side and the Proud Boy side, how come y'all bitch asses can't seem to ever come out under your real name? Because you know what would happen? You have to actually face some consequences for your goddamn actions because you are a bunch of bitches. A bunch of bitch-made motherfuckers. But let's get into the news. Because again, I don't want to waste time on somebody who's like that. A bitch-made motherfucker. This is from the FBI's webpage. All right, so I'm going to give you a link in the chat, guys, so we can follow along. Gotama 420. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the Pitchfork Podcast. We're gonna be looking at something very, very funny. It is the FBI webpage about the U.S. Capitol violence. The FBI is seeking information that will assist in identifying individuals who are actively instigating violence in Washington, D.C. The FBI is accepting tips and digital media depicting rioting and violence in the U.S. Capitol building and surrounding area in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021. And they're seeking information. They even posted some pictures that I thought was interesting. Oh my God! They posted some interesting pictures I thought was interesting. I just wanted to take a look at this. See, I like to take a look at this. Seeking information, violence at the Capitol. See, I want to give y'all a link to this right here. That way y'all can have this too. See, because I love it when white nationalists come pop up in the chat, right? And they just disappear when I offer them to call. And then when they try to call in from a troll number or from a fake ass call number, I don't even answer. In fact, whenever somebody calls in, I'm going to switch over to the screen so you can see why I don't answer, or if I do answer, who's calling in. Well, you know what? I'm not going to show that because then that's going to show their freaking number. No, I'm not going to do that. But you're going to hear tone. Seeking information, violence at the Capitol, United States. At the United States Capitol, Washington, D.C., January 6, 2021. Some photographs of some of these people. It's supposed to be by the FBI, so this is not doxing. So you look at some of these individuals, right? Like, why the fuck are you there? You look like you from like India, bro. Why are you there? This is, you are like the black man in Vietnam. Like that one Aries Spears skit. Go home, black man. It's not you war. It's not you war, black man or Indian man. It's not you war. Go home. You look like a goddamn terrorist. The guy to the left of the freaking guy look like he's freaking Indian in photograph 64. Photograph number 64. He looked like a goddamn terrorist. And you go over to photograph 6. He looks like a goddamn wife beater, a goddamn dude bro. And then 7. I mean, if you have to ever pick out a cousin fucker who lives in a cold environment, who shoots raccoons as an Olympic sport, it'll be that guy. And then 68, he's the hill has fucking eyes. 63, he's taking a shit while he's rioting. 62, that is I guarantee you, and I would bet my life, she is on OnlyFans at some point because she takes photos way too steamily. 61, you wearing a Trump Christmas sweater. I'm going to leave that cringe right where it is. 60, she looks like the chick that took Twilight way too seriously and she wore the Uggs at the Hot Topic at your nearby mall. You probably smashed her in the freaking parking lot. She probably has your freaking kid. She probably contacted her about child support. 59, you show up in flannel with a freaking bullhorn. Whenever a man shows up to any event with flannel and bullhorn on, you know nothing is going to end well. Oh my God, that's how you know nothing is going to end well. When a man shows up dressed like that. All right, let's go back here. So this guy right here, this genius had pipe bombs. See, they it's my dog, he's barking. This genius decided to bring pipe bombs to the event. So he's leaving pipe bombs everywhere. And this guy, I'm going to tell you, when they find you, son, you done. But one thing that I will give him credit on, at least he had the sense to wear a mask. See, the other motherfuckers who showed up there, you know how they on this list, right? I want you to take a look at this. Look at this list. Take a look at this list. I want you to see this shit, right? This shit is just absolutely precious. It is just precious. It is just absolutely precious. Because as you look at this fucking list here, right? I want you to notice something. I want you to notice this interesting quinkity, this interesting thing, right? See, what you gonna notice is, you notice how none of the motherfuckers here are wearing masks. Not one of them, except for this guy here with the flannel Trump short, looking like a fucking the fucking dumbest Power Ranger goddamn ever. I mean, none of these people are wearing masks, right? But the one thing that I can give my man here with the goddamn pipe bombs, right, is he's wearing a fucking mask because he realizes, you know what, I can get a lot of trouble for this shit. When they come for me, they gonna come for my booty. Tim Pool is why is Tim Pool dumb? Because Tim Pool is an asshole, he's a dumbass, and I like to make fun of Tim Pool. You wanna know why? Because Tim Pool is proof. He is undeniable proof, right? Undeniable proof that just because someone has more subscribers doesn't make them right. How many times have you watched Tim Pool where his ass been fucking wrong versus me? Right? Like in the past 6 months, how many times have I called shit correctly? I said Joe Biden was going. The only thing that I've gotten wrong was Lindsey Graham. He won his re-election bid. That was the only thing I've gotten wrong. I called both Senate races right in Georgia. I called Senate races right in pretty much every state that I've called it except for one. And that was my home state of South Carolina. I miscalled that one. I called the presidential election correctly. I predicted this fucking social uprising. I actually predicted the freaking global pandemic because I was writing articles about it back in January and then February. I mean, I've been right a lot, but Tim Pool has a million subs while I'm struggling because people like confirmation bias. People like to be told what they already fucking believe. They never want to. I wouldn't say everybody. I would say a lot of people don't want to expand. That's why, you know, if you had people who was open to new information, do you have any idea how far society would have progressed? We would probably have our own rocket cars right now. Think about how long it took for us to get same-sex marriage. Think about how long it took for America to finally come to its senses about damn weed. Think about how long it took for us to finally say, you know, maybe we should start searching people who are coming through airports, or maybe we should up our capital city police, our security. Think about how much shit has to happen in order for us to get a simple point. See, and that's the biggest difference between America and Europe. Europe is more proactive, where we are very, very reactive. We react to things. We are reactionaries. All right, that's why the biggest react channels are coming out of America, because reactions are kind of what we do. It feeds into who we are as people. We are reactionaries. We don't typically like to bring bouts first, but if you bring it to us, we're going to overreact. We must overreact immediately. Okay? You know, we didn't care about, you know, drug abuse in the black community until it started happening in the white community. Just like Dave Chappelle said, we're getting a real good look at each other. You know, nobody cared about homeless veterans until homeless veterans started going postal. Yeah, then you start nosing them. No one cared about veterans and VA care until we looked at the freaking VA waiting list freaking scandal, you know? No one cares about things in this country, right? No one cares about anything in this country until a bunch of people die, until we're forced to care, or we're too embarrassed to not care. Because had the media not made a big deal about what happened at the Capitol, nobody would have fucking cared or given the proper significance that it properly deserved. Let's just be honest and just call a spade a spade. You know, so tell me in the chat, do you think Americans are reactionaries? Yes? No? Explain briefly your answer. Tell me in the chat, right? I want to know in the chat. Do you think Americans are reactionaries? Yes, no, and could you just briefly explain your answer? You know, just kind of tell people, or just call in, or go to the Discord chat, because I actually do read out Discord messages too, depending on, you know, where you post them. Now, with that being said, we're gonna get into some more news. All right, so that's the guy with the pipe bomb. And don't worry, we're gonna get into some actual articles, but I want you guys to see some of the people that we've already gotten involved here. By the way, guys, hit the like button, hit the share button, let people know that I run this content every day. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Here are some more pictures here. All right, this is just too precious. I gotta see this. I gotta see this. This is precious. Oops. Okay, so here we go. Let me just I'm gonna just zoom in on it a little bit, because this is just too precious, man. Oh man, this is just wonderful. All right, so this guy here, right? You know he wants to be hard, wearing all black, but then now he want to cover his face. This guy here wearing the Scully mask right here. You know he wants to be hard so bad. This guy right here, you know he's the guy who shows up to the bar, right? And he's looking for a fight. Man, do you know how they probably caught him so fast? I know that they actually caught this guy. They caught him really, really fast, right? Because not only did he not wear a mask, so to cover his face, right? He wore on his little Kevlar helmet here. That's an actual Kevlar helmet. He wore the Texas state flag on there, right? So that would show them immediately where he's from. Oh my God. This guy here, I mean, you can tell he is definitely the type where if you just walk on his lawn, he will shoot you. The guy, the freaking old man with the MAGA hat. Whose grandpa's out here? Whose grandpa? If somebody don't come out here and get their goddamn grandpa, you is too old. You look like a damn COVID victim. Get your ass home. Get your old ass. If you don't get your damn, Jesus, your fucking. This motherfucker look like a walking Cialis commercial. He look like a walking Metamucil commercial. Get your. You see the old man with the green jacket and like the red hat on, like the mofo. Yo, my man right here. My man right here with the green jacket and the hat on. Yo, if somebody don't get the old ass Bob Barker grandpa looking ass motherfucker on head out of here with no mask on, sir, you are in the kill range because of your age, your apparent age. You are in the kill range of the goddamn virus. Put on a goddamn mask and take your old ass home and go get a goddamn fucking social security check, okay? Take your old ass home. I mean, these motherfuckers got nerve, right? To have the most mental conditions, the most fucked up body features, the oldest asses, and then want to go protest. Take your old ass home. At least Antifa, right? They have the sense to put young, rich white kids out there. Healthy, able-bodied white kids. These motherfuckers out here putting out goddamn Bob Barker. What in the entire fuck is this shit? Take your old Bob Barker ass home. God damn. God damn. And this mofo, you look like the fattest fucking Rainbow Six operator. Bro. There is no point in you wearing a mask, right? If you're so out of shape that when you take 5 steps, you're out of breath. Because that mask is going to become a hindrance then, right? God damn. Oh my God. And here's the best part about it, right? So if you're going to be an insurgent, right? If you're going to invade a capital, the one thing that you don't want to do is wear identifying clothing that either identifies who you are, reveals who you are, or reveals the side that you're on. You notice how insurgents in Afghanistan and everything else, they don't wear identifying clothing. They dress just like the civilians. These mofos didn't do that. This guy here, he has the nerve to have teardrops. Who the fuck are you, goddamn Wayne? This mofo has the nerve to act like he a gangster, got teardrop. You ain't killed no damn body. The fact that you are walking, listen, the fact that you are walking on the streets among MAGA people, all right, talking about Blue Lives Matter with damn teardrop tattoos on your face, lets me know that you either a criminal, you've been locked up, or you're faking. Which one is it? Are you a real criminal or are you pump faking? You know, in basketball, we got this move called a pump fake. And I think he's goddamn pump faking because nothing about him looks gangster. Not a goddamn thing about him besides that tattoo, them little fake ass teardrops. All right. I don't see too many gangsters wearing goddamn Under Armour. The only black people that I see wearing Under Armour is Steph Curry and his damn family. Oh my God, you are not a gangster, sir. I don't believe you. You need more people. And this motherfucker here, the same motherfucker, right? Carrying a goddamn Confederate flag. Let me ask you a question. If he got into a fight, right, do you think he would actually win? Like, let's say he got into a fight with somebody like me, or even a bootlicker like Brandon Tatum. Do you think that he, or even someone like the Amazing Lucas, or let's say I don't know, like Mazadal, or you know, let's say that either one of us, because again, there's gonna have to be a handicap for someone who's like him. So let's say that I don't know, I slipped and I fell on a slice of poisonous pizza, and I'm weakened. Do you think that even in that weakened state, he could whoop my ass? Answer honestly. Do you honestly think that? Do you think that this man's a real gangster or he's pump faking? And, in fact, I want you to tell me in the chat. Do you think that this man carrying the Confederate flag with the teardrop tattoos is a gangster or he is pump faking? I'm asking in the chat. Do you think that this man carrying the Confederate flag with the teardrop tattoos is a gangster or he is pump faking? Meaning, he's not really a gangster. Meaning he's faking. Meaning meaning that's just for show. This guy here, right? He wants to be a gangster so bad. Sir, most gangsters I've seen, believe it or not, they don't even dress like that. They don't even dress like that. See, the fact that you even brought that flag there lets me know you're not a damn gangster. And if you got to figure out what I mean by that, then you ain't a gangster. Look at these. Y'all look like the Mighty Morphin douchebags. Seriously. If you had to raid a building, right? And you had to pick between these mofos or Antifa, believe it or not, I'm taking damn Antifa. You want to know why? Because of all the people that's been arrested from fucking Antifa, all the people that's been caught on camera, do you want to know why it's hard to convict them or even catch them? Because they wear fucking masks. And a lot of these fucking dumb fucks here, with the exception of like a few, they ain't even wearing masks. Meaning they're not even smart criminals. They show up to the bank robbery without a Joker mask on. They show up to the bank robbery without a SpongeBob the SquarePants mask on. They show up to the bank robbery without a Ronald Reagan mask on. They have failed the first basic rudimentary test of being a criminal. Can you conceal your identity so that later on the cops can't fuck with you? Do you understand the reason why, right? Drug dealers go out of their way to not allow cops to see them selling drugs? Do you understand why rapists go out of their way to not rape somebody in a broad daylight? Do you understand why when people break in, they typically love to break in when people are not home? Because those scenarios all reduce the chances of you being caught. Partially, and the main reason why you won't get caught, or the chances of you being caught are much lower, is because your identity is concealed because someone didn't see you do it. But if someone, but if you're in a scenario in which you are exposed and people are going to see you do things, it'll be a great idea to wear a fucking mask. I mean, for Christ's sakes, this dumb fuck right here in the middle, the fucking buffalo MAGA furry with the goddamn buffalo horns and the goddamn face paint on. If you brought all that shit to you, you mean tell me it was too much of a goddamn stretch to get a fucking buffalo mask, a Trump mask? You got on goddamn buffalo horns. You made a fucking spear out of the fucking American flag. You got on gloves and some fucked up ass pants and fucked up ass tattoos. Shirt all, chest all out in the goddamn cold. Everybody else got on goddamn jackets, but your fucking dumb ass. And I guarantee you, when you get sick. Oh, and we got a little story for him. We got a little story about my man here. Oh, my man, Buffalo MAGA furry. Oh, we gonna cover him. We got some lot to say about him because his mother came out and said something funny. Oh my God. His mother came out and said something funny. His mother said that he has a diet where he can only eat gluten-free stuff or organic stuff. And you know what? I think we're gonna go look at that right now. Because I want to see Buffalo MAGA furry in his full glory. Oh my God. I want to see Buffalo MAGA furry in his full glory. Because that shit was hilarious. I was watching some basketball earlier. I want to find that video. Where is that video? Here we go. Oh my God.
So he is the most recognizable of the group of people who disrupted and vandalized the U.S. Capitol. A 33-year-old Arizonan in a furry headdress, horns, and face paint. ABC 15 investigator Melissa Blasius in federal court today.
Oh my God.
For the first time.
Jacob Chansley, also known as Jake Angeli, made his first court appearance here in Phoenix telephonically from a detention center because he is currently in quarantine. We also learned from his mom that he has not eaten anything since Friday.
He has not eaten and he needs to eat.
Martha Chansley worried about her son's condition since
if you worry about your son eating, maybe your son should have thought about that before he stormed the goddamn Capitol. You know, cause I want you to understand something, right? It took him time to put on that damn face paint. It took him time to put on them goddamn earrings. It took him time to put on that fucking headdress and position it just right so that it doesn't fuck up the goddamn face paint. It took him time to get ready for all this shit and travel all the way to fucking DC. He's traveled from Arizona. In fact, let me just take a quick pause. We're going to come back to the video. I'm going to take a quick pause. I want to look at though. Arizona. How far did he have to go? Arizona to Washington, D.C. How many miles is that? That is a 34-hour drive. And if you fly there, the earliest that I'm seeing and the cheapest I'm seeing from $160 is a 4-hour plus long airplane ride. So throughout that entire ride and throughout that all this stupid ass headdress he put on, all this bullshit he put on, he didn't think to himself, man, if I get caught, I have a certain type of diet that I just eat, that I only eat that, and maybe I should really reconsider this bullshit because, you know, prisoners aren't known to, you know, adjust the diets very, very well. Let's just continue.
Turned himself in to the FBI Saturday morning, a concern echoed by his public defender that 33-year-old Jacob Chansley had an extremely restrictive diet. We asked what the diet was.
He gets very sick if he doesn't eat organic food. Literally, will get physically sick.
The judge.
Well, ma'am, she seems like a very, very nice lady. I don't want to come down hard on the mama because sometimes in life you can do all you can do, and they're gonna turn out how they turn out. You know, his mama came all the way down to try to come and see him, so she doesn't not love him. There are some mothers who would say, all right, you did the goddamn crime, I'm not coming down there. All right, some mothers are actually like that. So to some extent, you have to imagine a mother is going to care about her son. You know, and I'm pretty sure that if she had her in her heart of hearts, if she could convince her son or stop her son, she would do it, so that he wouldn't be in this current scenario. But ma'am, before you talk about restrictive diet, the responsibility of someone to think about a restrictive diet is not on the judge or cops or anyone else. It's on you and your son. Give me a second. Come here. Come here. All right. So I had to go check on my doggo. All right. So once again, I just want you to hear this again and hear how they're putting a lot of the blame on the cops and the courts, and they want sympathy. But notice how a lot of Black Lives Matter people didn't get that same kind of sympathy. I want you to see this again.
Claudia, thanks. So he is the most recognizable of the group of people who disrupted and vandalized the U.S. Capitol, a 33-year-old Arizonan in a furry headdress, horns, and face paint. ABC 15 investigator Melissa Blasius in federal court today.
That man's not well.
Judge for the first time.
Jacob Chansley, also known as Jake Angeli, made his first court appearance here in Phoenix telephonically from a detention center because he is currently in quarantine. We also learned from his mom that he has not eaten anything since Friday.
He has not eaten and he needs to eat.
Martha Chansley worried about her son's condition since he turned himself in to the FBI Saturday morning, a concern echoed by his public defender that 33-year-old Jacob Chansley had an extremely restrictive diet.
Hold on. Look at that. That sign right there says Q sent me. Q sent me. So if Q sent you and you knew you had a very restrictive diet, and you could either make or buy all that bullshit that you're wearing and get all these expensive tattoos or do them yourself and afford the ink, and notice the Blue Lives Matter flag in the background. That's very, very interesting, isn't it? A Blue Lives Matter flag, and y'all killed a cop, and y'all caused another cop to commit suicide, and you assaulted other police officers. But there's a Blue Lives Matter flag sitting right there in the background, and there was a bunch of people claiming, "Oh no, the Blue Lives Matter crowd, they weren't with the freaking right." You can see him right behind the man who was inside the goddamn Capitol. What the fuck are you talking about? He's right there, and the person with the Blue Lives Matter flag is right there in the fucking background. But again, people love to rewrite history. But the one thing that I hate that they do is when they try to rewrite history seconds after it fucking happened. Drives me crazy. Let's continue.
Restrictive diet. We asked what the diet was.
He gets very sick if he doesn't eat organic food. Literally, will get physically sick.
The judge asking Chansley's lawyer to work with the U.S. Marshal.
Wait. MAGA and the right sit there and criticize people, calling them soy boys and saying, "Oh, you're gonna have your extra soy latte and your organic food, your gluten-free food." Fucking hipster. Fucking world market shopper. Fucking fresh market shopper. Those people ridicule all those people. Now, QAnon shaman, Jake Angeli, Buffalo MAGA furry. "I can't eat anything but organic food or else I get deathly sick. My mommy only makes me organic food, guys." Who's the fucking soy boy now?
Service on a detention diet as she held video and telephone first appearance hearings with inmates. Chansley was by phone and politely called the judge Your Honor throughout. He's a local activist and QAnon conspiracy theorist, At this point, he's facing misdemeanor charges related to being inside the U.S. Capitol illegally with a spear last Wednesday.
Wait. So even if you say, right, and I want you to notice the guy next to him, right? The genius next to him. He's wearing a fucking name badge. Look to the guy, right? The guy with the red hat on, who's carrying the red Trump flag, who's wearing he's wearing the red Trump hat with the freaking beard, and if you notice, it says inauguration on his little blue hoodie there. He's wearing a name badge. He's invaded the Capitol wearing a name badge. They found him almost immediately. The reason why they found him almost immediately is because, again, it wasn't that difficult to find this man because he wore a fucking name badge. That's how smart these people are. That's how smart these people are. Tell me in the chat, do you think a smart criminal invades the U.S. Capitol while wearing a name badge that clearly identifies them and not wearing a mask to conceal their identity? So I'm asking a question in the chat. Do you think a smart criminal invades the U.S. Capitol while wearing a name badge that clearly identifies them and not wearing a mask to conceal their identity? Let me know in the chat. Type it out in chat. Type it out or call in. Let me know. Let me know. Do you think a smart criminal does that? Oh my God. Do you? This man wore a name. Listen, the nerve and the audacity of that. I want you to understand. The nerve and the audacity of that, to wear a name badge while you are committing a fucking felony, an obvious felony, while a police officer here is clearly telling you to fucking leave. This man is sitting here screaming, right, like a goddamn psycho. And this man has not thought for a second, before I come rushing in here, right, I'm going to take off my name badge, right? Because if I take off my name badge, at least they won't know my first and last name. See, if so when this man shows up if he can court, right, he's gonna plead probably not, a lot of people, unless a DA like gets to him, he's gonna say, not guilty, right? Then they're gonna call this cop to the freaking stand. The cop that you can clearly see in this picture here, right? They're gonna say, "Can you identify the person, at least one of the people that was inside the Capitol building? Was it that man over there?" And they're gonna point at him, right? He's gonna say, "Yeah, I read his name badge. Can you repeat his name?" And he's gonna actually say his first and last name from memory because this dumb fuck wore a goddamn. I'm gonna play the video. Jesus Christ.
Chansley was even pictured up on the Senate chamber's dais. 5 people died, 1 police officer and 4 demonstrators, either during or after the violent clash at the Capitol. A 2nd police officer died by suicide this week.
You just heard that, right? 1 police officer died and another police officer died by suicide. That's very, very important. I want you to note that, right? Note that.
The violent clash at the Capitol. A 2nd police officer died by suicide this weekend.
Notice that a police officer was killed from a fire extinguisher thrown at him. But do you remember that one picture that we saw earlier? Right there. With the Blue Lives Matter flag in the black. But he's right here in the forefront about to go and assault the Capitol. But there's a Blue Lives Matter flag in the background. Blue Lives Matter flag. But let's skip forward.
Wednesday, Chansley was even pictured up on the Senate chamber's dais. 5 people died, 1 police officer and 4 demonstrators, either during or after the violent clash at the Capitol. A 2nd police officer died by suicide this weekend. Do you think he's responsible in any way for the people who died in the Capitol?
Like I said, I don't have any comment.
Chansley will be held in detention until at least Friday.
Wait a minute. So you want people to feel sympathy for your son because he hasn't eaten. There are people whose families are forever broken. And you want to come out and get sympathy for your son. And I'm not blaming her for this. It's not her fault. She didn't do it. But you want sympathy for your son. And you have no comment for the families who have died. For the freaking families who have loved ones who have died. You have no comment about them, but you want me to feel sympathy for your son. While I don't hold her responsible, it's not her fault at all, ma'am, it doesn't work that way. If your son had any part, and he did, in what happened at the Capitol that caused the loss of life, the time for sympathy is over.
Friday, when he will have another hearing to determine whether or not he will be taken in custody to Washington, D.C. to face these charges, or whether he will be released to appear on his own. I'm investigator Melissa Blasius, ABC 15, Arizona.
Yeah, that was that was pretty interesting, huh? Pretty interesting how that works, huh? But I'm gonna go ahead and post that video in the chat for you guys. That way you could have it. And you notice how our friend didn't call in, right? Our friend, the white nationalist. Notice how he didn't just call in, right? Very, very interesting. Because again, white nationalists, MAGA folk, all those folk, they avoid me. They're scared of me. Because they already know how I operate. You can't debate me unless you come with facts. Come with facts or don't come at all. Straight up. Straight up. Yep. That's how I work, baby. That's how I work, baby. Let's get into the news, though. All right, so which news story I want to get into first? All right, so I want to go into this news story first about Fox News. What is the Boogaloo movement the FBI is warning about? Authorities bracing for potential violence from Boogaloo protesters. All right, so I'm going to give you a link to this story down in the chat. We're going to get into that story right now, guys. Hit the like button, hit the share button, let people know that I run this podcast. Guys, share the link to this podcast to all your MAGA friends, all your QAnon friends, all your white nationalist friends, all your cop loving friends. I want those people. Those are the people that I want in here. I want them to call in. Share the number. In fact, I'm going to give you the number right here in the chat here. 253-203-6784. Share that number with your MAGA friends, and that number won't be shared on every platform, unfortunately, because whenever I post it on Restream, it doesn't post it to every platform. But I will tell you the number again. It's 253-203-6784. Now, with that being said, I want you to understand. I want people here, all right, who disagrees. I want them. I don't want people here who just agrees. I want people here who disagrees. Bring them here. Have them come here. So they can get that old fashioned ear spanking. They can actually change their minds because they realize how stupid some of their beliefs are. I want those people to change. I want those people to be better. I want to make them better. I want to help them become better. I want to show them that you don't have to always be stupid. That you don't have to always go around believing that the election was stolen from you. You don't have to always go around believing that. You can be better. You can do better. I believe in you. With that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the news. All right, guys. What is the Boogaloo movement the FBI is warning about? All right, so turn the volume up. Okay, so law enforcement agencies across the U.S. are bracing for the possibility that extremists who are said to be calling for the coming of a second civil war will carry out violence on January 17th, according to an FBI memo cited in a recent report. I'm going to go ahead and give you a link to that memo. All right, so there we go. Let's get back to it. Yahoo News exclusively reported that the FBI's Minneapolis field office memo sent to local and state agencies at the end of December cited collaborative sources who told investigators that members of the Boogaloo movement will be hosting potentially violent events on January 17th. Some followers indicated willingness to commit violence in support of their ideology, created contingency plans in the event violence occurred at the events, and identified law enforcement security measures and possible countermeasures, the December 29th, 2020 memo states. Members of the anti-government pro-gun Boogaloo movement advocate for a second civil war or the collapse of society, and they don't adhere to a coherent political philosophy. They often wear Hawaiian shirts and tactical gear and carry high-powered rifles. The loose movement uses a 1980s movie sequel as a code word for a second civil war. Its name comes from a panned 1984 movie, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, which has become slang for any bad sequel. Another version of this is the big luau, hence the Hawaiian clothing. Far-right gun activists and militia groups first embraced the term before white supremacist groups adopted it last year, much like the alt-right. Much like, remember when Milo and Donald Trump Jr. and Ben Shapiro, and you even had Paul Joseph Watson. You had people embracing the term alt-right until the white supremacists started taking it up as some of the fascists, and they're like, okay, we're going to reject that term. Same thing happened with Boogaloo. All right. While some Boogaloo followers maintain they aren't genuinely advocating for violence, law enforcement officials say they have foiled bombing and shooting plots by people who have connections to the movement, or at least use its terminology, according to the Associated Press. And that's a very, very dangerous precedent to set, because anyone can use the term Boogaloo, right? So how can you just link that to, that's a very, very dangerous precedent, just to say, well, they use some of their terminology, so they're the same group. Well, I know a lot of Islamist groups who use the exact same terminology, but you can't just blame the same groups for every event. You have to actually put the blame where the blame belongs, right? So again, that's a very, very dangerous precedent set, and I'm not really comfortable with that. On Monday, a federal law enforcement source told Fox News an internal bureau memo was circulating that warned of armed protests that will be held in 50 state capital cities in the days leading up to the inauguration on January 20th. The FBI said in a subsequent statement that the agency is supporting our state, local, and federal law enforcement partners with maintaining public safety in the communities we serve. As we do in the normal course of business, we are gathering information to identify any potential threats and are sharing that information with our partners, a spokesperson told Fox News. The FBI respects the rights of individuals to peacefully exercise their First Amendment rights. Our focus is not on peaceful protesters, but on those threatening their safety and the safety of other citizens with violence and destruction of property. Last week, hundreds of people, some armed with guns, pushed their way into the halls of the U.S. Capitol, smashed or dismantled property, and went into the House and Senate chambers. Meanwhile, Hill staffers and lawmakers were under lockdown or hid behind chairs or under desks and tables. So we're going to move on past that. That's very, very interesting, though. Once again, they are trying to pin a lot of this on the Boogaloo boys. And so now you're seeing this even from Fox News, from Stephanie Pagones on Fox News, and now the FBI is going to put a laser focus. So if you're a part of the Boogaloo boys, I would seriously, suggest that you lay low. Seriously. Let's run over here. CNN politics. All right, so we got a few news stories here. All right, I'm gonna give you a link here. So some of the live news that's happening right now on CNN.com. Scroll up in the YouTube live chat. You'll see the white nationalist. His name was Chance2413, and I told him to call in. I gave him a number. He didn't want to call in. All right.
resolve to laugh more.
Okay, so there's a advertiser that's playing. I'm just gonna mute the sound. So this is a story that was written 4 hours and 11 minutes ago by CNN. Gotta mute this too, Jesus. But first two Capitol riot defendants indicted in Washington, including man alleged to have bombs. The Justice Department on Tuesday filed its first federal grand jury indictments against two defendants linked to the Capitol riot, including against an Alabama man alleged to have parked a truck filled with homemade bombs, guns, and ammo 2 blocks from the Capitol. Both men were arrested last week, and their criminal allegations were made public shortly after the riot. The indictments formalized the charges the men after they were arrested under criminal complaint. Lonnie Leroy Kaufman of Alabama appears to be the most serious defendant of more than 20 known federal defendants so far. He is currently detained and is set to appear before a judge this afternoon. According to the new indictments, Kaufman faces 17 criminal counts, largely for possession of multiple weapons, including ammunition, shotgun shells, and various guns, including a shotgun, a rifle, 3 pistols, and 11 Molotov cocktails without registration in Washington, D.C. on January 6, according to the indictment. Another man, Mark Jefferson Leffingwell, faces 7 counts related to violence inside the Capitol building. He is released from detention at this time. Neither have entered a plea in court. So this guy, Lonnie Leroy Kaufman, he faces 17 criminal counts, including having Molotov cocktails in Washington, D.C. I think they're going to try to make the clear argument. There was a clear intention to use those weapons. Why else would you bring them? Why would you bring Molotov? You could make the argument for, okay, a man should be allowed to have guns. Cool. But Molotov cocktails? When there was a riot? Okay. All right. So this one here, this story is a very, very interesting one, I thought. Congressman, this is 2 House Democrats proposed a $1,000 fine for maskless members. So during the mayhem, right, members of Congress were forced to quarantine or basically like be shielded off from all the danger. And so there were several Republicans who were members of the House who didn't want to wear a mask, and they were hardcore against, the mask wearing. Well, turns out they actually might have gotten some people sick because there were other people who were in close contact with them who might have been wearing masks. But if you're not wearing masks or anything else, and you're coughing, you're wiping your face and everything else, or if you have COVID-19, you can still transmit it. And that's what happened. You had congressmen who had followed the restrictions who were getting sick. Congressman Debbie Dingell from Michigan and Congressman Anthony Brown from Maryland introduced legislation that would impose $1,000 fines on any member of Congress refusing to wear a mask on Capitol grounds during the COVID-19 pandemic. And you know what? That's fair because members of Congress have been allowing your states and your local governments to pass all kind of restrictions and everything else. Shouldn't they be under the exact same restrictions? Shouldn't they not face the exact same fines that you've been facing as citizens? What makes them so special? I like this. I like it whenever you want to fine politicians. I love it. Take away money. I love it. I love it. This comes after 3 members tested positive for the virus after sheltering in place with other members of Congress who did not wear masks during the violent attack on the U.S. Capitol last week. It is not brave to refuse to wear a mask. It is selfish, stupid, and shameful behavior that puts lives at risk, Dingell said in a statement. In the midst of a deadly assault on our United States Capitol, a number of our Republican colleagues laughed off rules designed to keep not just their colleagues safe, but to protect the lives of the teams of workers, keeping things going, law enforcement, and staff throughout the Capitol. Now, 3 of our colleagues are suffering from the virus. From the virus, she added. Specifically, the legislation would amend the House rules and institute a $1,000 fine per day for any member of Congress who refuses to wear to wear a mask on the grounds of the Capitol during the pandemic. You know what? I say extend it. Do it for senators, do it for the president, do it for the Joint Chiefs, everybody. Anybody who is in government, who's a politician, I want, especially high-ranking freaking military, I want you to face fines for not following the exact same rules that you are allowed to be imposed on the American people. That's what I say. Don't you like it? I like it. Top Democrat to demand individuals who stormed the U.S. Capitol to be placed on no-fly zone. On the heels of multiple briefs with federal law enforcement, including with FBI Director Christopher Wray, U.S. Senator Charles Schumer, or Chuck Schumer, will demand the federal authorities place individuals who entered and stormed the U.S. Capitol be put on the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, no-fly list in order to contain possible future threats. Schumer will say many who stormed the Capitol, the demonstrators, meet the criteria to be placed on the federal security list as threats to the homeland. Schumer will also say that these individuals on the list should be placed on the list ahead of the inauguration on January 20th, and he will say that it makes sense given that the continued threats across the U.S. and the online mediums that those threats are being sent through have the federal government concerned. Many who stormed the Capitol traveled from afar, and some were later arrested in airports when they landed far from Washington. Let's go down here. There is one more story. Army will conduct background checks of soldiers taking part in Biden's upcoming inauguration. There's a reason for this. So there was an Army captain who got involved in the riots. Now I'm going to show you this real quick. I'll find this video real quick. Rainy Army captain riot. I want to show you this real quick. Yeah, right here. This woman right here. She's an Army captain, and she got involved in this. Oh, girl right here. God damn, let me get the sound back. Oh, girl is thicky. Yo, baby in the beige rack. God dang, girl. She a thicky, boy. I'm gonna go and play this.
Who knew this? Morning Fort Bragg is investigating a psychological operations officer who led a group of people from North Carolina to the rally in D.C. that led up to those deadly riots.
Yeah, commanders are reviewing Captain Emily Rainey's involvement in last week's event.
Yeah.
Rainey says she acted within military regulations and that no one in her group broke the law.
Now, the 30-year-old is assigned to the 4th Psychological Operations Group at Fort Bragg. Rainey says her group attended the rally but did not enter the Capitol.
So that's why. The top of that video, you have to see that thicky there. So that video right there shows you the reason why the Army is investigating certain claims. Because the Army is now conducting background checks of soldiers taking part in Biden's upcoming inauguration. The U.S. Army is working with the Secret Service to determine if there are soldiers who will be part of the National Guard contingent providing security at the inauguration who require additional background screening. The D.C. National Guard is also providing additional training to service members as they arrive in D.C. that if they see or hear something that is not appropriate, it should report it to their chain of command, an Army spokesperson said in a written statement to CNN. There is no place for extremism in the military, and we will investigate each report individually and take appropriate action, the statement said. The Army is committed to working closely with the FBI as they identify people who participated in the violent attack on the Capitol to determine if the individuals have any connection to the Army. And the statement said, while adding that any type of activity that involves violence, civil disobedience, or a breach of peace may be punishable under the Uniform Code of Military Justice or under state or federal law. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, I'm going to tell you about that real quick. That's called UCMJ. So, even when you're out of uniform, there are certain activities that you cannot participate in. You are allowed to participate in protests, that kind of stuff, or political activities, but you cannot identify that you are in the Army in any kind of way. You cannot protest in uniform. You cannot wear any Army insignia. You can't even wear a shirt that says Army on it. Nope. In no way can you identify that you are part of the United States military. You can only act as a citizen. You are allowed to be a citizen, but that's where it ends. You can't identify in any way that you were in the military. And so this last sentence here. Current Defense Department policy requires all service members be trained annually under a program that requires department personnel to report any information regarding known or suspected extremist behavior that could be a threat to the departments or the U.S. The statement said. Yes, you are a part of the soldier's creed. Calls for you to fight enemies both foreign and domestic. So we're gonna move on here. FBI visited extremists ahead of Capitol riots, urged them not to travel to D.C. The Justice Department has charged more than a dozen people in Wednesday's Capitol riots. It's published a day ago by Fox News by Brooke Singman of Fox News. All right. The FBI visited extremists prior to the pro-Trump rally and the deadly Capitol riot last week and urged them not to travel to Washington, D.C., a source familiar with the situation told Fox News. It is unclear at this point how many extremists were contacted and how far in advance of January 6th. Pro-Trump protesters stormed the Capitol on January 6th, sending Congress into recess and the Capitol building into lockdown as members attempted to certify the results of the presidential election in favor of President-elect Joe Biden. The president spoke earlier in the day in Washington at a rally to supporters who later marched to the Capitol. He further pressured Vice President Mike Pence to act on his own to decertify the results of the election and send them back to the states for recertification. Pence, before the joint session of Congress began, said he did not believe under the Constitution that he had the authority to unilaterally accept or reject electoral votes. As members of the House and Senate debated and raised objections to certain electoral votes, both chambers were forced to recess and evacuate their chambers as protesters stormed the Capitol, sending it into lockdown for hours. Washington police said the riot at the Capitol resulted in 5 deaths, including a Capitol police officer and a woman who was shot inside the building, and at least 70 arrests. The Justice Department has charged more than a dozen people involved in the riots, and dozens more have been charged in Superior Court in Washington, D.C. with unlawful entry, curfew violations, and firearms-related crimes. Last month, President Trump promised supporters a wild protest in D.C. on January 6th. NBC News first reported that the FBI visited extremists planning to attend the pro-Trump rallies. Reported that the FBI warned Capitol Police of potential violence that day. The FBI did not immediately respond to Fox News' request for comment, despite warnings about pro-Trump demonstrations in Washington. Capitol Police did not plan to bolster staffing and did not anticipate that the demonstration would escalate into a massive violent riot, according to people briefed on law enforcement's response. The Capitol Police response has drawn condemnation from lawmakers and prompted the ouster of the police chiefs and the sergeants at arms of both the House and Senate. So both the House and Senate, the sergeants at arms is gone, and the police chief, the Capitol Police, is gone. Oh my God. Man, you know, they claim to be so Blue Lives Matter, but man, y'all costing cops a whole lot of jobs, man. Cost them their lives too, because one cop killed himself. One cop was killed with a freaking fire extinguisher because he got smashed in the head. Many cops got dragged out and beat up. Oh my God. I mean, wow. All right, so Trump says his supporters will have a giant voice and won't be disrespected. Yes, you will be, and your voice will be tiny. Your voice will not be giant; it'll be tiny. You will be disrespected constantly. Yes, you will be. I posted that in the chat right there for you guys. Fox News. Trump says his supporters will still have a giant voice, won't be disrespected. Twitter temporarily locked Trump out of his account this week. Now we know that's not true. It's published 4 days ago. That is not true. We know that Twitter has banned Trump and Facebook at least until the end of the inauguration and probably permanently. So Parler's gone for now. This is written by Brooke Seaman of Fox News 4 days ago. Let's go down into it. Let's get into it. President Trump on Friday said that his supporters will still have a giant voice and would not be disrespected after he leaves the White House. The 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first, and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. Trump tweeted Friday. Well, you ain't tweeting no more, sucker. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any shape. In any way, shape, or form, he added. Whoops, we couldn't access this tweet. I think that they might have done that intentionally. The president's tweet comes after Twitter temporarily locked him out of his account this week because of posts related to his claims of a rigged election and the Capitol riots. Washington, D.C. police said the security breach at the Capitol resulted in 5 deaths, including a woman who had been shot inside the building, and at least 70 arrests. So once again, I wanted to kind of just go over that quick one there. I don't want to get down to it because they start to repeat things over and over and over again. So let's move on to the next one. All right, Illinois Democrat, the third lawmaker to test positive for coronavirus since sheltering at the Capitol. So you've had multiple lawmakers who were sheltering with Republicans, right? Who didn't want to wear masks, and so they had to shelter in place next to these people, and some of them had COVID-19. They were positive, and these other lawmakers didn't know. So these other lawmakers got the virus. And the doctors who are in charge of the actual, the big doctors there are saying they probably got it when they were sheltering in place with the politicians who didn't want to wear masks. This is published 4 hours ago on today, which is January 12th. Happy belated New Year, by the way. This is by Morgan Phillips of Fox News. Illinois Democrat, the third lawmaker to test positive for coronavirus since sheltering at Capitol. Schneider lambasted GOP colleagues who refused to wear masks amid the chaos. All right. Representative Brad Schneider, Democrat for Illinois, became the third lawmaker to test positive for COVID-19 on Monday after locking down in close quarters with other lawmakers last week as rioters breached the Capitol. Schneider lambasted his Republican colleagues, some of whom he said refused to wear masks amid the chaos. He called for those that refused to comply with health guidance to be sanctioned and removed from the House floor. Last Wednesday, after narrowly escaping a violent mob incited by the President of the United States to attack the Capitol and its occupants, I was forced to spend several hours in a secure but confined location with dozens of other members of Congress. Several Republican lawmakers in the room adamantly refused to wear a mask, as demonstrated in video from Punchbowl News, even when politely asked by their colleagues, the Illinois Democrat wrote in a statement. I want to see that video. Oh my God, I want to see that video. Why won't you wear a mask? Wow. So, let me get this straight. These mofos got people sick. Wow. If I was that lawmaker, I'd be mad. I'd be mad too, man. Today, I am now in strict isolation, worried that I have risked my wife's health, and angry at the selfishness and arrogance of the anti-maskers, who put their own contempt and disregard for decency ahead of the health and safety of their colleagues and our staff. Snyder said he hadn't yet experienced his symptoms and was isolating away from his wife. He said he regretted he had to vote by proxy amid the week of critical work in the House. Wow. So a third lawmaker has tested positive for COVID-19, potentially because of the failings of Republican lawmakers. The refusal to wear a goddamn mask. Wow. Imagine for a second, right? And again, there were doctors saying that these Republican lawmakers probably got these people freaking sick. Wow. Let's move on. We're going to move on to Newsmax. Trump, big tech is dividing the country. I hear what you're saying. Charming and Cthulhu on YouTube says it's not unreasonable. We don't have any way to prove them not wearing masks got that lawmaker sick. I don't know, man. Well, the thing is that these people, right, they were told to wear masks. Now, charming Cthulhu. The one thing that I want you to understand is that if it's fair for the cops to arrest people or to fine people for lockdown violations, and if rules are set in the House floor or on the Senate floor where you got to wear a mask, well, in all fairness, if the American people can be punished and have to face all these freaking these freaking fines, and they can shut down your freaking business, they can only give you $600, they can only give you $1,200, $1,800 total. If they can do all that, right? And if a rule is set, then I have no problem, with them being punished for them not following the rules. Wear a mask. If people have to around the country wear a freaking mask or be punished or be harassed by cops, then the same shit happened to freaking lawmakers. All right, and the fact is that during a global pandemic, when we have the new strain out here that was originally discovered in the UK, a strain that is spreading even faster than the original strain that we got of COVID-19, well, that creates an even bigger problem. Wear a mask, because we now have a new strain that we know for a fact can spread very, very quick, very, 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 very quickly. If you hang out in a room with someone who has that strain, you will get sick. There's very little chance that you won't get sick. So what we have to do is separate our political beliefs, our beliefs about the virus, or if it's overblown, how the media played a role. We have to separate that from what the data shows us. And so far, the data shows us that we are pushing the better part of 400,000 deaths so far since this virus hit. And that's based on the amount of deaths that we know of. That's just what we know of. That's not the total of deaths. Let's go here. Trump, big tech is dividing the country. Published on Tuesday, January 12th. Today, happy belated New Year. President Donald Trump blamed big tech companies Tuesday for dividing the country days after, Twitter and Facebook banned him on their platforms after he was accused of encouraging last week's attack on the U.S. Capitol building. I think that big tech is doing a horrible, horrible thing for our country and to our country, and I believe it's going to be a catastrophic mistake for them. They're dividing and divisive. Trump told reporters at the start of a trip to Texas. He said that the companies have made a terrible mistake and that there is a counter move to the actions big tech platforms have taken without being specific about what that means. Last week, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon.com took their strongest actions yet against Trump to limit his reach. They cited the potential for continued violence stemming from the Republican president's post after a violent January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol that killed 5 people. Apple, Google, and Amazon also suspended Parler, a pro-Trump app where users have threatened more violence from their respective app stores and web hosting services. The moves enraged Trump, who immediately vowed he would not be silenced and promised a big announcement soon. Trump has repeatedly clashed with large technology companies and railed against the protections they enjoy under a law called Section 230, which protects companies from liability over content posted by users. He has continued to demand that law be repealed, even though his calls have not found enough congressional support. He even vetoed a $740 billion defense bill that allocates military funds each year because the bill did not include language to overturn Section 230. Congress overrode the veto. Congress overrode the veto. Wow. I'm going to move on here. Trump, impeachment moves causing anger, but I want no violence. It's published on January 12th, which is today. I'm going to get you a link to that in the chat. Right. I wasn't trying to be hard on you, charming Cthulhu. You know, don't take it that way. But it's like the thing is that even if you don't take the virus as seriously, if rules are set for the American people, then if let's say that there's some draconian rules in California, right? Well, I don't care if I'm talking about a senator in Texas. I want everybody in Congress and the Senate to face the exact same rules. If one American has to go through it, everybody in Congress should have to face the exact same nonsense. And if everybody in Congress faces the exact same the exact ssame nonsense, maybe they will pressure their senators and their congressmen to change things. Maybe they'll pressure those states, threaten to cut off trade deals or take some backroom dirty dealings. If it's just not fair that a mother in Idaho can be arrested for just having her children on a playground, but these people who had clear rules can't follow a simple rule. That just doesn't seem fair to me. I think that if a mother in Idaho can be arrested just for having her children on a freaking playground, I think that if you are a congressman or if you're on the House floor and you are given a rule and you don't follow that rule, then you should face some kind of consequence for doing that. Because congressmen, much like many politicians, always tell us to just obey the law, right? Well, if you want Americans to just obey the law, how about you obey rules? Show us how it's done. Show us how easy it is to obey the law. Follow rules. But they can't do that. And do you want to know why? Do you want to know why they can't do that? Because they're hypocrites and they think that they're better than you. They think that you are beneath them. That's why they can set rules for you, but they don't want to follow no goddamn rules themselves. See, they only do this kind of stuff. They only engage in that kind of behavior because they think that they are better than what you are. They think that you are a serf, that you are beneath them, that you are trash. I'm not going to wear a mask like that trash. That's what they think of you. That's how they see you. That's how they treat you. That's why they only gave you $1,800 total so far. That's why they can get health care. Meanwhile, you're struggling, to get quality freaking health care. But they're getting health care off of your dime. Rules for thee and not for me. You got it right, Charming Cthulhu. Rules for thee and not for me. Yep. See, I think that if someone in California has to face Gavin Newsom's draconian healthcare bullshit, now I think that everybody in the house should have to face the exact same thing. I think everybody in the house should also lose their business. Also have to freaking struggle. Also be hungry. Wouldn't nonviolent, so Charming Cthulhu asks on YouTube, wouldn't nonviolent civil disobedience be the best answer to this? Nonviolent civil disobedience. So we all have to fight about it. No, I'm not saying that we all have to fight about it. What I'm saying is, if politicians, right, if they can see where in other parts of the country people are suffering, but they're saying nothing, and they're saying, well, that's not my constituents, so I don't care about it. But you are a politician on a federal level, and you're noticing nonsense happening in California where you got a business owner who has outdoor dining set up, right? And Gavin Newsom has shut down, this person's business. Meanwhile, across the street, they are allowing a TV production to go on with almost the exact same identical setup. If you are a congressman in Texas, I don't give a damn if that's not, your direct constituent. You say something. You say something. You open your damn mouth because you are a politician. Yeah. I feel that if any authoritarianism is imposed on the American people, it should also be imposed on politicians. Because I guarantee you, if it's ever imposed on politicians, they'll stop doing that shit. I guarantee you that shit. Let's move on here. Trump, impeachment move causing anger, but I want no violence. It's written on today, January 12th. Happy belated New Year. President Donald Trump, under pressure to resign after being accused of inciting a deadly breach of the U.S. Capitol last week, said Tuesday that moves to impeach him are absolutely ridiculous and causing tremendous anger, but added that he does not want violence. I want no violence, Trump told reporters after branding the efforts against him. A continuation of the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics before he left Washington, D.C. to visit the border wall in Alamo, Texas. Asked whether he feels any responsibility for the Capitol attack, Trump said his words to supporters on Wednesday were totally appropriate. Okay, Trump, whatever you say. Trump's remarks comes after days out of sight in the wake of the Capitol siege. Aides have been urging the president to use the days he has left in office to highlight what they see as a chief accomplishments of his presidency. I said that all horribly. Sorry about that. I'll say that again. I'm supposed to be clipping this. Aides have been urging the president to use the days he has left in office to highlight what they see as the chief accomplishments of his presidency. I can never say that word correctly. A massive tax cut, his efforts to roll back federal regulations, and the transformation of federal courts with the appointment of conservative judges. But Trump has repeatedly resisted their efforts as he has remained ensconced in the White House behind closed doors. Part of the reason why I stuttered throughout this whole thing is because there's a lot of typos here. Like, Trump's remarks come after days out of sight in the wake of the you mean in the wake? There's a lot of typos here in Newsmax. Newsmax, you gotta do better with your freaking proofreading, man. Seriously. Newsmax, you gotta do better with your freaking proofreading, man. You guys have been horrible with this. Horrible, awful. Oh my God, absolutely awful with this. Oh my God, just terrible, terrible. Let's move on. It's a Fox News. Parler CEO on shocking restrictions by Amazon, Apple, and Google. You just never think it will happen. People are threatening my life. I can't go home, said Mates. Let's pause that there. I'm going to go ahead and post this in the chat. So, all right. Parler CEO on shocking restrictions. Hold on. I don't know why they keep trying to give me this. On shocking restrictions by Amazon, Apple, and Google. All right. Parler CEO John Matz told Tucker Carlson tonight, Monday, he and his colleagues had theorized that Amazon Web Services or one of the social media company's other necessary vendors could deny them service. You just never think it will happen, right? Max told host Tucker Carlson. You know, what is really interesting is that they all did it on the same day. Those three, Apple, Google, and Amazon, without any prior warning. We just woke up on Friday thinking business as usual. On Friday, Google dropped Parler's app from its Google Play Store. Apple followed suit Saturday by removing the app from the App Store, while Amazon Web Services cut off Parler from its web hosting services. Max told Carlson that when Google dropped Parler, we didn't get a notice from Google. We read it online in the news first. That was shocking. That is shocking. While a nonpartisan company, Parler has become a refuge for Trump supporters and others who have been either kicked off of Facebook and Twitter or have left those social networks in protest. Matt said that since Google, Amazon, and Apple denied Parler access for users, vendors, his team reached out to as replacements have declined to work with this company. So even the alternatives are declining to work with this company. Like they're like, I'm not gonna get in the middle of Google, Apple, and Amazon. I've seen a lot of people say this is scary, and I've seen a lot of people who are participating in the 5 minutes of hate and egging it on and cheering. Matt said, it is disgusting. People are threatening my life, he went on to claim. I can't go home tonight. So this is really a lot, you know. This is not just our civil liberties. Big tech can shut down a $1 billion company, $500 million company overnight. You know, I will say this. That is scary that they can just remove you. I will say that. You know, that it was the speed in which, you know, Google, Amazon, all them boys just did that shit. Like that was just, I will say that is a little bit scary, a little bit draconian. The speed in which they did it. Because even if you don't like Parler, right? I want you to understand, if they can do this to anybody, they'll do it again. That's how precedents work. So, you know, it's kind of like a seesaw thing. It's kind of like a balancing act, man. You know, you have to kind of like balance it. You got to balance safety with preventing big companies from just taking over. And really, Amazon, Apple, and Google, and Facebook, they're it. Or maybe like Twitter. They're it. There's really no competitors to that, really. So I mean, like you gotta really, we have to be really, really careful about shutting down competitors, you know, to any of these companies. And I really, really think that we should really, really start talking about breaking up these companies. You know. But anyways, guys, we're gonna get into another video that I thought about this something earlier that I saw that I thought you guys would be interested in. There's a really, really funny video that I saw. So, in fact, I think it's in the trending. So, the Department of Justice right here. It's one of the videos I'm going to show you guys.
Press conference call. All participants
who took part in the
There we go. This is the Department of Justice.
Good afternoon.
Press conference about the Capitol attack.
Director in charge of the Washington Field Office of the FBI, and I'm here to provide a quick update on the FBI's activities since the violence and destruction at the Capitol happened. And
I want you guys to keep in mind, this is the first press conference that we've gotten from the FBI since the actual attack. It's the first time that we've heard anything from them. So it's just very, very important that you guys listen in closely. Listen up. And before we continue, I'm going to give you a link to this thing in case the stream goes down for any reason. You guys can have it so you guys can watch this. This is very, very important.
Last week. The FBI is quite familiar with large-scale, complex, and fast-moving investigations. We are up to the challenge. As Director Ray says, the FBI does not do this. To be clear, the brutality the American people watched with shock and disbelief on the 6th would not be tolerated by the FBI. The men and women of the FBI will leave no stone unturned in this investigation. Since these events, the FBI has worked hand in hand with the United States Attorney's Office and our law enforcement partners here in D.C. and across the country to arrest and charge multiple individuals who took part in the destruction. In 6 days, we have opened over 160 case files, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The significance of this investigation is not lost on us. This is a 24/7, full-bore, extensive operation into what happened that day. We cannot do our job without the help of the American people. Since our call for tips, videos, and pictures, we have received more than 100,000 pieces of digital media.
Now, I want you to keep in mind now, the one thing about this press conference is that not only is it the first time that we really heard like a real federal response from like Department of Justice, but it is also the first time that we're really hearing what they've been doing like directly from the Department of Justice in terms of like outside of emails and that kind of stuff. It's the first time that we have ever really had a press conference and them kind of updating the American people. You know, this should have been. We are in almost into next week Wednesday. And this is the first time that we're really hearing from the Department of Justice. It's just unacceptable.
Which is absolutely fantastic. And we are scouring every one for investigative and intelligence leads. We continue to ask for more. If you have information, contact 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit photos and videos to fbi.gov/US Capitol, and that's Capitol with an O. I want to stress that the FBI has a long memory and a broad reach. Agents and our partners are on the streets investigating leads not only here in the D.C. area, but also across the country through the FBI's 56 field offices. So even, like I've said before, even if you've left D.C., agents from our local field offices will be knocking on your door if we find out that you are part of the criminal activity at the Capitol. But before we do this, this is your opportunity to come forward, as several individuals who were involved in Wednesday's riots have done, to volunteer about their participation. In the weeks leading up to the January 6th rally, the FBI worked internally with every FBI field office to ensure that we were looking for any intelligence that...
I want you to understand what he just said. He's like, here's your opportunities to come forward. We know who you are. You didn't even wear masks. Some of you wore fucking name badges. We know who you are, so you can come forward now. We're going to find you, whether you like it or not. And we are the FBI. They have the FBI, son. You're not going to hide from the FBI. Sorry.
That may have developed about potential violence during the rally on January 6th. We developed some intelligence that a number of individuals were planning to travel to the D.C. area with intentions to cause violence. We immediately shared that information, and action was taken, as demonstrated by the arrest of Enrique Tarrio by the Metropolitan Police Department the night before the rally. Other individuals were identified in other parts of the country, and the travel subsequently disrupted. The FBI receives enormous amounts of information and intelligence, and our job is to determine the credibility and viability of it under the laws and policies that govern FBI investigations. We have to separate the aspirational from the intentional and determine which of the individuals saying despicable things on the internet are just practicing keyboard bravado, or they actually have the intent to do harm. In the latter, we work diligently to identify them and prevent them from doing so. As offensive as a statement can be, the FBI cannot open an investigation without a threat of violence or alleged criminal activity. However, when that language does turn to a call of violence or criminal activity, the FBI is able to undertake investigative action. And in this case, we had no indication.
See, do you hear what we just not said? That's a very, very important distinction. So these are for the people who just want to call the police or the FBI, whatever someone says something hyperbolic. The FBI can't just go over somebody for saying something that's hyperbolic. You have to actually demonstrate whereas there's an actionable, incredible threat. And an actionable threat, if someone's all the way in like China and has no means in which to get to the U.S. and then post that I'm gonna kill you, the FBI is probably not going to take that seriously because the person has no means in which to do it. Over a person like Stephen Hawking, let's say that like Stephen Hawking were still alive. If Stephen Hawking says I'm going to cut your head off, the FBI is not going to take that seriously because it's like, can he really do that? No. So they have to. In order for them to allocate resources properly and actually use resources only when they have to actually use them, they have to actually determine if a threat is credible or not, if it's actionable and credible.
Information was linked to any specific person, but this is a matter of an online discussion. This information was immediately disseminated through a written product and briefed through our command post operations to all levels of law enforcement. Part and parcel of our investigation into violent actors is the fact that we continue to gather intelligence that will aid in our ability to disrupt possible future violent activity. Suffice it to say, we are leveraging our relationships with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, using our tools at our disposal to find and bring everyone involved in last week's criminal activity to justice. I'm now going to turn over to Acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherman.
All right.
All right, thank you, Steve. I think I mentioned.
Wow. Wow, what a small man. Oh my God. Wow, that is a tiny dude. I want you to notice the difference here, right? See how tall this guy is, right? I want you to know something real quick. He's like, that's the father, and that's the son. Wow.
Using our tools at our disposal to find and bring everyone involved in last week's criminal activity to justice. I'm now going to turn over to Acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherman.
All right, thank you, Steve. I think I mentioned this before a few days ago that just to begin, I think the scope and scale of this investigation in these cases are really unprecedented, not only in FBI history, but probably DOJ history, in which essentially the Capitol grounds outside and inside are essentially a crime scene. And
I want him to say that again because that's for the people who are trying to downplay this. Oh, it's not that bad. The media's making it worse than what it actually is. This man is an acting U.S. attorney. I want you to repeat. I want you to repeat what he just said. That was just incredible.
This investigation in these cases are really unprecedented, not only in FBI history, but probably DOJ history, in which essentially the Capitol grounds outside and inside are essentially a crime scene. And scale in which we have literally thousands of potential witnesses, and a scenario in which we're going to have, I believe, hundreds of criminal cases, both filed with our local courts, the Superior Court, and through the federal court system. So just to frame things, the enormity of this investigation is going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and this is not going to be solved overnight. It's not going to be solved within the coming weeks. It's not going to be solved within the coming months. This is going to be a long-term investigation, and rest assured, the Bureau, the Department of...
Well, when he says that, right, I want you to key in on something. When he says that, I want you to notice what he's actually trying to say. He's saying that because it's not just civilians that they're going after. We know that there are police officers placed on leave right now for participating in the freaking riots. We know there has been members of the freaking military. There was a 30-year-old captain, last name was Rainey, who was the Army is investigating currently, and the Army is currently investigating whether or not its soldiers were participating, and also the Air Force. The entire DOD is investigating every member of the service who attended that rally. Okay. You had lawmakers who've had to actually step down. One in West Virginia he had to actually step down from his position. A West Virginia lawmaker. So, if they were just going after civilians, they don't waste no time. It don't take months and years to get civilians. That's not why this investigation is going to take so freaking long.
Justice, all of U.S. attorneys across the United States that are assisting these investigations, everyone is in for the long haul. So, that being said, let's turn to the numbers that Steve referenced. And the numbers are going to geometrically increase. So,
right.
As we sit here now, literally days after this event happened, we have already opened more than 170 subject files, meaning these individuals have been identified as potential persons that committed crimes on the Capitol grounds, inside and outside.
Wow. So they opened it more than 170. You realize that if you're on that list, don't try to buy a gun. Don't try to get country. Don't make it a really important purchase. Don't move around too much. Careful who you talk to. That phone you got, toss it. Go get a freaking throwaway phone. You're fucked. Because them boys coming for you, they gonna get you, and you're gonna be brought to justice. And there's no point you crying, you bringing your mama talking about you have a gluten-free diet, like the one guy, Jake Angeli, the Buffalo Magafur, the guy with the big buffalo horns. There's no point you doing that. These people don't care. We're gonna continue.
So of those 170 cases that have already been opened, and I anticipate that's going to grow to the hundreds in the next coming weeks, we've already charged over 70 cases. And again, that number I suspect is going to grow into the hundreds. So what are the types of cases we initially charged? And I think there's some misconceptions, and I want to clarify some of those misconceptions, because given the enormity of the actors we saw both inside and outside the Capitol, the range of criminal conduct is really, I think, again, unmatched in any type of scenario that we've seen, the FBI or the DOJ. We're looking at everything.
So he's saying that the range of it is something that he hasn't seen before. The acting U.S. attorney is telling you the range of criminal offenses is something that he has not seen before. It's from the small to the big. The range, the stuff, the amount of them, the amount of different charges you're talking about here. It's something that an acting U.S. attorney has not seen before. Oh my God, do you understand how insane that is?
From simple trespass to theft of mail to theft of digital devices within inside the Capitol to assault on local officers, federal officers both outside and inside the Capitol, to the theft of potential national security information or national defense information, to felony murder, and even civil rights excessive force investigations. So just the game.
Jesus. Listen, and I want you to understand, man, like, I want you to understand this. This is just who they caught so far. And these idiots have more attacks planned. Right? So I want you to understand how bad this truly is. Now, I think that you're hearing it now. Now that I think it's kind of sobering some people up. It's kind of, you know, it's helping to pull the veil out. This was a lot worse than what MAGA made it out to be, right? Than what QAnon and Proud Boys and all the right-wing crowd made it out to be, right? It's a lot worse. You're talking about charges from simple trespass to felony murder, terrorism charges, having explosives, having Molotov cocktails, homemade IEDs, homemade Molotov cocktails, pipe bombs, threatening to hang the vice president, chanting that before you rush the Capitol. Some of those people were found with nooses on them. Outside the Capitol, they erected a giant gallows and hung a noose from it and was chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." They were threatening the vice president of the United States of America and were actively looking for him because they knew he was in there. That's why they had to evacuate Mike Pence. So if you're chanting something, right? Let's say that you're at home, right? And someone's chanting your name, that they're going to come kill you or come and hang you. They erect a gallows up, right? Then they rush your house. And they're looking for you, but you just happen to be evacuated. Would you say that they were threatening you? It's like, well, that's not a house, that's a public building. Okay, say you're in a public building and there's a crowd of people outside chanting your name, saying that they want to hang you. They erect up a freaking gallows. They bust into that building. They have, some of them who are caught have nooses on them. Would you then consider it a threat? It doesn't matter what the fuck you are. That is a goddamn threat. A clear and actionable threat. That's what the other FBI, the other Department of Justice guys meant. That's what he meant by that. A clear and actionable threat that you can't just prosecute a person or go and arrest or detain them because they said some really mean. No, they got a freaking potty mouth online. They say something that's just hyperbolic. This is exponentially worse. I mean, you talk about stuff. This easily will go down in history books as one of the worst political events in American history. It doesn't really matter how many people died or didn't die. The symbology of it, of the Capitol being raided, it's going to go down in history books, folks. It's a lot worse than what MAGA is trying to make it out to be. That's why everyone now is in damage control, trying to separate themselves, trying to distance themselves now, trying to pretend like, oh, I wasn't hardcore like MAGA pro Trump. Everyone's trying to play that same game. Don't let them. You know what my position was. You saw how many downvotes I got, how many times I've been chastised, how many times I've been cursed out, been called nigga, been called stupid, been called all kind of names and everything else because I turned on Trump about a year and a half ago. And I started speaking about about a lot of the cops. I wasn't digging the police stuff. So the same crowd who claimed that they were so Blue Lives Matter, who now kills cops and calls cops to commit suicide, now all of a sudden you can't find them.
Gamut of cases and criminal conduct we're looking at is really mind-blowing, and that has really put an enormous amount of work on the plate of the FBI and field office throughout the entire United States. So let's look at those initial cases. And again, I want to clarify some misconceptions. When criminal conduct occurs, we try to obviously charge people as soon as possible. So the way, looking just at the federal system, we'll try to do that via criminal complaint. So when these actors left the Capitol, these individuals, these defendants, obviously the impetus.
All right, so Charming Cthulhu brought up a point. He said DC was on fire in June. So let me show you a difference, Charming Cthulhu. DC riots in June. So we're gonna go and show you why you're wrong. Okay, I'm gonna show you why you're wrong. So we're gonna show you something real quick. We're gonna do a custom range. Okay. If we go back here, right? July 2020 to July 31st. No, not from that date. Let's see. So the start of the year. Okay. And so I want to show some of the pictures. Now, So these were the race riots. Some of the riots that were in D.C. This is 1968 though. Time. I mean, it wasn't really. I mean, you didn't really have a whole lot of damage there though. I mean, the riots weren't like super duper ongoing, and it wasn't in like we're far worse on the American people. The right was attacking the ruling cap. No, Charming Cthulhu. It's not worse on the American people. All right, listen, it's not worse because, listen, this whole idea of the left burn these business. First of all, you don't even know if those people were actually on the left. Some of those people who were actually burning down businesses and smashing windows were actually cops. Let's not forget that, Charming Cthulhu. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget all the pictures of the cops who were actually doing that stuff, who were instigating it. Okay? Now, if you're gonna bring up the left doing that stuff, then let's also be honest and say the left doing that stuff was because the cops couldn't stop killing people. And in comparison, the reason why the right showed up is there is no fucking comparison. All right, there is no fucking comparison. All right, if Martin Luther King says a riot is a language of the unheard, he would look at BLM right now and says, I agree with you. He would look at that shit at fucking DC and says, I don't agree with you. And here's why. Because those people who showed up at the DC, some of them were literally Nazis. Some of them were. Don't pull the bullshit. Well, not all of them were. I didn't say all of them were. Some of them were, though. Some of them quite literally had Nazi tattoos. I don't think MLK would march with them. Do you? So can we just admit there is no comparison. Two things can be true at the same time. One riot can be bad and the other riot can be bad, but to compare the two, it's just not the same. It's not the same. And plus, when you look at what's going to cause more political division, well, when you attack the fucking Capitol, that could cause a civil war. Because obviously whatever BLM did not cause a civil war. What the right's doing right now, all right, what the right's doing right now by attacking the representatives that the left and the right voted for, that's going to cause division. Holy shit. Have you not seen the news lately? The right instigated a lot of the shit that you're seeing on the streets now. Had the right address, the freaking violence with goddamn cops, this shit wouldn't be happening with goddamn BLM. Let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a goddamn spade. If the right would just quit with the fucking marijuana shit, you would have cops that would cease to lock up people for dumb shit like smoking a goddamn joint. But no, the right has a lot of good points. But they are reactionaries who cause their own problems. The white doesn't want straight white men to be attacked. But then all I see in that freaking riot is a bunch of straight white men. If you don't want to be attacked, don't make yourself a damn target. Stop that. Or if you look at like I'm sitting there and I'm sitting there getting panned in video after video after video about me going at cops so hard, right? These motherfuckers killed a cop. They quite literally killed a cop, and you can't even say they didn't because I showed you the video. I showed you the video of Jacob Angeli, fucking Buffalo MAGA fairy, QAnon shaman, standing right in front of a freaking Blue Lives Matter flag just before they rushed the Capitol. So no, Blue Lives Matter was there. There was literally other content creators who saw Blue Lives Matter beating up cops. Okay? And yet, throughout the summer, whenever a black person made up a freaking point, they would always say, Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter. Where are all those people right now? My question is, where is Lil Wayne? In fact, let's take a quick little detour. I want to find out why is it that Lil Wayne and Lil Pump and all of them been. Let me go look up Lil Wayne. Twitter. I want to find him on Twitter. Wayne, you said that you voted for Trump, right? Right, Wayne? Wayne, you ain't said shit. December 20th, 22nd, December 31st, January. Wayne, you told us to vote for Trump. Well, you know what? Let me go look up 50 Cent. These niggas been real solid. I want to hear from them. I want to know what they've been saying. They ain't been saying nothing about the damn Capitol. Why have they been so silent? Why have they not said anything? There's no place like. What the fuck does that mean? You told people to vote for this man, you piece of shit. Oh, good morning, America. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. You piece of shit. This nigga. I fucking hate 50 Cent. I hope you get hit by a car, you piece of shit. Ooh. I hate 50 Cent. That don't even make no damn no. He didn't even say nothing. He said absolutely fucking nothing. And Lil Pump, you got on a MAGA hat right there, Pump. All right. Remain calm, remain patient, have trust in the system. Our man will be re-elected. Trump 2020. It's get it at real Donald Trump. Are you fucking kidding me? You goddamn idiot. You fucking idiot. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Do you think any of those people in the background, right? At that shitty ass goddamn Trump rally is listening to fucking little goddamn Pump? Do you think any other people in that background is listening to Lil Pump? Do you think that these people, or even Trump himself, is listening to this nigga here? Do you? Because if you do, I got some rhino horns and elephant tusks to sell you. You gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be fuck. Where is Ice Cube? I want to see Ice Cube on Twitter. Where the fuck is Ice Cube? I want to hear him say something. Where the fuck is Ice Cube? Ice Cube, say something. Say something, Cube. Showing up to work asking, what happened to the last security guard? Your boss. Your boss. Your boss is what fucking happened. The motherfucker who you sold your people out for. That happened. You know, your fucking platinum plan. Your shitty ass platinum plan. That happened. That happened, Cube. Your mama didn't have enough money to pay me. What's the hardest part of becoming a seller? You piece of shit. Fighting off the ideas of corny Hollywood execs to make the movie the way it needed to be made. You ain't gonna sit here and pretend like you was the only person who wrote that movie. Chris Tucker helped too. Cause some of the movies that you put out since have been shit. I saw you in damn Triple X. I've seen you in your shitty annual holiday fucking release. The shitty ass goddamn movies. Let's not pretend like you are certainly a master movie writer, okay? A master. You are certainly, you know, the fucking non-perverted the fucking non-perverted Harvey Weinstein now. Cause you ain't that, sir. You can write a song, but a movie, I mean, everybody gets one good shot now. Everybody gets one. And you got your one. And that's all your ass got was one. Okay. Because I've seen some of your material since. Anyway, thanks for the conversation and the news updates. All right. Yeah. Oh, whoa. What's going on, Charmer Cthulhu? Hey, be safe out there, man. Don't get COVID, and whatever you do, man. If you see anybody out there crazy and they want to just do something crazy to you, just run for your life, or do what I do. Tell them that under a Biden and Harris administration, I identify as a part of the LGBT community, and if you attack me, I'll be forced to summon up the guards. Anyways, man, be safe. Take care. All right, so let's get back into the news. Let's finish up this video here.
The marching orders by federal law enforcement was to find enormity of the actors we saw both inside and outside the Capitol.
This is the acting U.S. attorney who's investigating a lot of these cases involving the U.S. Capitol. So just have a listen.
The range of criminal conduct is really, I think, again, unmatched in any type of scenario that we've seen the FBI or the DOJ. We're looking at everything from simple trespass to theft of mail to theft of digital devices inside the Capitol to assault on local officers, federal officers, both outside and inside the Capitol, to the theft of potential national security information or national defense information, to felony murder, and even civil rights excessive force investigations. So just the gamut of cases and criminal conduct we're looking at is really mind-blowing. And that has really put an enormous amount of work on the plate of the FBI and field office throughout the entire United States. So let's look at those initial cases. And again, I want to clarify some misconceptions. When criminal conduct occurs, we try to obviously charge people as soon as possible. So the way, looking just at the federal system, we'll try to do that via criminal complaint. So when these actors left the Capitol, these individuals, these defendants, obviously the impetus, the marching orders by federal law enforcement was to find, fix, and charge these individuals as fast as possible.
Yeah, that was their initial thought. They want to try to find these people as fast as possible to try to basically try to prevent any future attacks. Now, so far, we know from the FBI that there's attacks planned at all 50 state capitals. There's also more attacks planned in Washington, D.C. from January 17th until 20th and even beyond. Even before then, what they're looking at is months long of this. That's the one biggest breaking news. The one biggest breaking news that I want to tell you. This is not going to be over in a day or a week or a month. This could be months. Could be up to a year. We don't know yet. It depends on what these idiots want to do.
So the prosecutors from the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, we look for the most simple charge we could file as quick as possible. So therefore, the initial charges filed in these cases, a lot of them were misdemeanors. They were trespass cases. However, those cases were opened on those initial charges. We also had several firearms charges. We also had several felony charges that were opened with assault and battery, illegal felonious possession of weapons. However, I want to clarify a misconception. This is only the beginning. So after these criminal charges are filed via criminal complaints, that allows law enforcement across the United States to arrest people from Dallas to Arkansas to Nashville to Cleveland to Jacksonville. That's what's happened over the past several days. It's really quite incredible. Now, after those charges are filed, then we have the ability to then indict these individuals on more significant charges, and that's exactly what has happened. For example, yesterday, again, only days after this event happened, we had the grand jury in the District of Columbia up. It was booked throughout the entire day, and for several hour upon hour, prosecutors in our office presented felony cases, significant felony cases related to civil disorder, related to the possession of destructive devices, related to the possession of semi-automatic weapons that are illegal to possess in the district. So again, I just want to clarify that the initial charges we're filing, some of these misdemeanors, these are only the beginning. This is not the end. So what are we looking at downstream here? So in terms of what we're looking at is the initial charges everyone's familiar with, the zip tie guys, the Munchels, and the Brocks that were arrested on the House floor with zip ties rifling through the House floor. People are familiar with online. They see the Barnetts and Johnsons who were literally rifling through Pelosi's office and stealing items, stealing materials, mail, and sometimes even personal mementos. So those are the cases the public's familiar with. They're familiar with those cases because of social media. But what the public isn't familiar with is that the FBI, working with the U.S. Attorney's offices across the country, and the crux of those being in D.C., we're looking at significant felony cases tied to sedition and conspiracy. Just yesterday, our office organized a strike force of very senior national security prosecutors and public corruption prosecutors. Their only marching orders from me are to build seditious and conspiracy charges related to the most heinous acts that occurred in the Capitol. And these are significant charges that have felonies with prison terms of up to 20 years. In addition to that, we're looking and taking a priority with cases in which weapons were involved and cases in which destructive devices were involved. As people know through news reports, there were pipe bombs found outside the Capitol. The ATF is working on that. Metro Police is working on that. FBI is working on that to find that individual or individuals who planted those devices. So in addition to just those rogue cases we're looking at, we're going to focus on the most significant charges as a deterrent, because regardless of if it was just a trespass in the Capitol or if someone planted a pipe bomb, you will be charged and you will be found. In addition to that, we've also focused on an emphasis on assaults and batteries on police officers, both.
Wait, so you heard that about the pipe bombs, right? There are people once again trying to downplay, right? Trying to downplay this shit, and they're trying to say, "Oh no, it wasn't as bad as they said." Now, they're always trying to downplay. Oh, it wasn't as bad as they said, guys. It was not as bad as they said. Again, did you hear the part about pipe bombs? Did you hear that? All right, that just. Wow. That is just exceptional, isn't it? Oh my God, that is exceptional, isn't it? All right, guys, let's continue this video. I'm gonna let it play in the background. I'm gonna go ahead and grab something from the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let it play.
Both federal officers and local MPD officers that were assaulted, and as the days go on, there's going to be more social media, and people will recognize that in some instances, MPD and Capitol Police were in open-handed combat with some of these persons inside the Capitol, where tear gas was used on the Capitol Police and federal officers, and they were also used against some of these rioters. So the picture is going to build. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what happened within the Capitol, and it's going to come into laser focus, I think, over the next weeks and days, and I think people are going to be shocked with some of the egregious contact that happened within the Capitol. The third area of emphasis that our office is also focusing on is we set up a strike force to focus on assaults on the media. Some people aren't familiar that some of those rioters specifically targeted members of the media and assaulted them. So we have assigned specific prosecutors in our office to focus on those cases as well. And I'm naming all these different strike forces to just emphasize, regardless of who the victim was, regardless of who the perpetrator was, we're treating all of these cases equally. Thank you very much.
We will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, you may press star, then 1 on your touchtone phone. If you're using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. To withdraw your question, please press star, then 2. The first question is from Pete Williams from NBC News. Please go ahead.
So can you clarify for us what intelligence did the FBI gather before the assault on the Capitol about the potential for violence, and how did it share it, and did it share it to the Capitol Police?
We received a lot of intelligence, like I said in my statement, a lot of intelligence information through all different means, be it through social media or through CHS's, sources, and then we have a sharing mechanism with JTTFs. Across the country we have Joint Terrorism Task Forces, and in this city, in DC, we have a very robust JTTF. And in that, we have Capitol Police, Park Police, MPD, and all the other federal law enforcement partners. We shared intelligence through the JTTF model, and we also shared it through our command post structure and then also through other means of they have access to our information readily available because they have access to our systems. So all that information was shared with our partners, and then we went from there.
The next question is from Evan Perez from CNN. Please go ahead.
Wondering if you could tell us perhaps if you found any indication so far to indicate that there was this level of planning and coordination for these people to go into the Capitol and carry out this attack rather than just a spontaneous mob that got out of control. And then secondly, if you could, at least Senator Schumer has talked about the possibility that some people might be put on the no-fly list. Of these 170 case subject files that you've already opened, can you tell us whether you've added any of those people to a no-fly list as a result of what happened?
So we're looking at all different avenues here. So my agents and analysts and all the other FBI personnel in my office and across the country are scrubbing video. We're talking to witnesses. We're talking to individuals that we arrest, and we're gathering that picture, that intelligence, if you will, to understand what happened on the 6th, that day, in the Capitol, outside the Capitol. We talk to all law enforcement partners, and it's not just the FBI doing this, it's all of our law enforcement partners as well that are working in conjunction with Acting U.S. Attorney Mike Sherwin's office and our local office here too as well. So we're sharing that intelligence amongst each other. We're putting into the intelligence cycle that the FBI has to try to ascertain the true picture of what happened that day. As for the no-fly list, we look at all tools and techniques that we possibly can use within the FBI, and that's something that we are actively looking at.
The next question is from Catherine Herridge from CBS News. Please go ahead.
Thank you for holding this event. The 2 pipe bombs that were found at the RNC and the DNC, does this cross the threshold to domestic terrorism because they are political targets? And do you think this was designed to either pull first responders away from the scene as the Capitol was breached, or an effort to maim lawmakers as they evacuated?
So I'll try to address that question for you the best I can. So yes, those 2 pipe bombs that were found both outside the RNC and the DNC offices near the Capitol grounds. And look, to begin, they were real devices. They had explosive igniters. They had timers. We don't know, obviously, exactly why they did not go off. That's being investigated. They were destroyed, disabled by Capitol Police with the assistance of the ATF, and that is all obviously being vetted and investigated. What was the purpose of those devices being planted? Was it a diversionary type of a tactic used by some of these rioters? Was it something, or did it have some other type of nefarious purpose? So that is what the ATF, the FBI, MPD are looking at as we speak right now, and looking for those persons that planted those devices. In terms of the conduct related to planning those, pipe bombs, the mention of domestic terrorism, I've mentioned this before. I don't like this tyranny of labels saying an act is domestic terrorism. We have plenty of federal resources at our disposal, plenty of federal charges to address all of this conduct, from felony murder related to the possession and use of destructive devices to seditious conspiracy, under the federal code that has significant penalties. And as mentioned, with this strike force that was established to focus strictly on sedition charges, we're looking at and treating this just like a significant international counterterrorism or counterintelligence operation. We're looking at everything: money, travel records, looking at disposition, movement, communication records. So no resource related to the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office will be unchecked in terms of trying to determine exactly if there was a command and control, how it operated, and how they executed these activities.
The next question is from Pierre Thomas from ABC News. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Are you looking at the possibility that some of these suspects were attempting or planning to take members of Congress hostage?
So I want to talk about Mike's the prior question first, just because I want to emphasize that we have a $50,000 reward out for the information, any information and identification of the individual or individuals that left the pipe bomb. So I just want to make that perfectly clear, and that we're looking at all angles in that. Every tool, every rock is being unturned because we have to bring that person to justice or people to justice. So can you repeat the question, please? No? Okay.
Are you looking at the possibility that some of these suspects who breached the Capitol, who had zip ties and other things, were looking at the possibility of taking members of Congress or others hostage?
So, like I answered the last couple of questions before, we are looking at all angles here. We're interviewing everyone, interviewing witnesses, and interviewing subjects as they get arrested around the country and within the district as well, to ascertain the true purpose of some of these individuals in the Capitol that day.
The next question is from Jake Gibson from Fox News. Please go ahead.
Thank you, first of all. I have two, actually. Number one, Senator Cassidy has tweeted out a photo that he said was of an individual that authorities wanted to get in contact with in connection possibly with the killing of Capitol Police Officer Sicknick. Number one, can you give us any type of update on that situation? And number two, I know you talked about intelligence leading up to the day before, or leading up to the day of the
Let's
riot,
answer this last question in the stream right there.
that there was at least one report out of FBI in Norfolk that painted a pretty grim picture. Can you confirm that? And were authorities on the Hill, really ready for what was coming at them?
So the investigation into Officer Sicknick's passing is an ongoing investigation. We are looking at everything that we possibly can. It cuts us to a core that one of our law enforcement brethren passed away. So it's an ongoing investigation. There's a lot of tools and interviews that we're still conducting. There's a whole host of video that's out there. We're reviewing all that information. As for the information that's being presented out there right now about Norfolk, that was a thread on a message board that was not attributable, was being attributable to an individual person. Like I said in my statement, we deal in specifics and facts. That information, when my office in Washington Field office received that information, we briefed that within 40 minutes to our law enforcement partners, our federal, state, and law enforcement partners that we had on our command post. It got ingested into the JTTF system and was, again, shared with all our law enforcement partners through that process that we have.
So that's going to be in the stream, guys. Thank you for tuning in with Pitchfork Podcast. Tune in tomorrow, guys, for more Pitchfork Podcast. We're going to keep the stream going as long as possible, but again, it's dependent upon your engagement. Again, I'm full gray man. Thank you for watching. All right, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on social media. Links are in the description. I am on Twitch. I am on VK. I am on Trovo. I am on DLive, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, guys. I'm all over the place. I am also on Patreon. Consider a donation on Patreon. Also, consider visiting my merch store. Links are in the description. Also consider subscribing to the Digital Liberation Front. I'm going to give you a link to their channel. I want you guys to check them out because they are a collaboration of content creators who are trying to bring you the news and try to replace the media and use people like me to do so. Imagine that there were 100 of me. So if you guys want me to give a shout out to your channel, let me know during the show. Call in, and that's the only way I'm going to do it. I'll give you a full shout out. I'll tell people to go and subscribe to your channel. Until then, guys, this has been Dion McNeil, aka Devil's Advocate. Horns up, peace out, be safe, wear a mask, and don't get COVID, and don't get sick, please.